If you're looking to seriously improve and make real progress on the drums this year, this video will give you a clear framework for your practice. I'm going to walk you through 7 key areas that when worked on consistently, will take your drumming to the next level and help you make this year your best year yet on the kit. So the first category is timing. As drummers, a large part of our role is timekeeping. This is an incredibly important skill, and if your timing is solid without speeding up or slowing down, it creates a strong, steady groove that listeners and other musicians can lock into, leading to a much stronger overall performance. There are 2 main areas when it comes to timing: large-scale timing and micro timing. Large-scale timing is things like how long you can play a rock beat in time with the metronome before you fall out of sync, or how consistently you're nailing each beat of the bar with the kick and snare, for example in a rock groove setting. Some really good metronome exercises for this include the on-off metronome exercise, where you play 1 bar with the metronome and 1 bar without it. You can also place the metronome on beats 2 and 4, which gives you the responsibility to keep the time when the metronome isn't playing. Another great one is simply playing at incredibly slow tempos. The slower the tempo, the more space there is between each beat, and the more room for error there is. These are some really effective ways to work on your large-scale timings, and you should definitely incorporate these into your practice. For micro timing, it's mostly about subdivision accuracy. You can have great large-scale timing, but still have uneven subdivisions. For example, you might be nailing each beat of the bar, but the 16th notes in between the beats aren't quite even. A simple way to work on this is to place the metronome on 16ths and practice playing a 16th note groove or improvising using 16th notes, really trying to lock in with the click. You can record yourself, either audio or video, and listen back to see if you're lining up with the metronome. Using a slow motion function on a smartphone is a great way to really zoom in and see how accurate you are. You can do the same thing with triplets or any subdivision, even quintuplets if you want to challenge yourself. These exercises are extremely useful for developing clean, consistent, and solid time. The next area is coordination, and specifically we're going to talk about limb alignment. When we think about coordination, we often think about playing multiple limbs at the same time or playing different rhythms at the same time. But one thing that really separates amateur sounding drummers from pro sounding drummers is how well the limbs are actually lining up. When we listen to our idols or heroes play, there's often a really nice synchronicity going on between the limbs, which creates a cleaner sound and makes their ideas more articulate and clear. When the limbs don't line up and you get things like flams, it can sound really clunky or even off time. Some simple exercises for this include playing quarter notes with all 4 limbs, or even just starting with 3 limbs at a time. From there, you can work on permutations of grooves, really focusing on lining up the kick with the hi-hat or the snare with the hi-hat, or whenever 2 or more limbs are lining up. For example, you might play a 16th note groove where the kick plays on the 1, then the E, then the and the ah, and really focus on making sure that whenever there's 2 limbs playing at the same time, they're landing exactly together. Again, recording yourself and listening back is really helpful here. Good limb alignment creates a deeper pocket, clearer ideas, and an overall tighter sound. Technique is the vehicle we use to express our ideas, and it's also incredibly important for maximizing how much output we get for the amount of energy we're putting in. The goal is to reduce tension and unnecessary effort so we can play what we want comfortably and with ease. Technique is a huge topic, but this includes things like singles, doubles, triple strokes, rudiments, molar technique, finger technique, push-pull, and many more. And then you've got all your foot techniques such as singles with heels up or heels down, hi-hat techniques, kick doubles, continuous kick strokes, and even triple strokes on the kick drum. My recommendation here is to pick one technique at a time and work on it for a few weeks to a month. So for example, if you're working on single strokes, focus on relaxed rebound strokes, even timing, and staying really relaxed. Start slowly, focusing on getting the motions down, and then add in the click and build the speed from the ground up. Once the technique feels comfortable and is usable in a musical situation, you can then move on to the next one. Number 4 is dynamic control. As drummers, we have one of the most influential instruments in terms of dynamics, especially in a band setting. We can play incredibly loud and incredibly soft notes in quick succession, and whatever volume the drummer plays at, often the band will follow. I'm probably biased because I play drums, but When working on dynamics, pick a topic, whether it's beats, fills, or soloing, and make sure you can play it at a soft, medium, and loud volume. Your technique will have to change depending on the volume. Louder playing might result in more molar or rebound strokes. Medium volume is probably where most people are comfortable, and you'll probably use your baseline technique. And then playing soft requires much smaller movements, utilizing things like the wrist and fingers. Another important skill is to work on crescendos and decrescendos, or building up and down in volume. This comes up all the time in music. For example, when you build from, say, a verse into the chorus. Practice things like 4-bar builds, from soft to loud and loud to soft. Another key area of dynamics is making sure that your accents are coming through nice and strong and your ghost notes are quiet and adding texture. This helps your grooves and feels sound clear, expressive, and intentional. Number 5 is knowledge of styles. The more styles you know, the more musical options you have. In band situations, someone might ask for a funk groove, a floaty groove, or a modern hybrid feel. And having recordings or grooves as references makes it much easier to find something that will suit that particular song. You don't need to know every single groove, I certainly don't, but I highly recommend learning styles from the music itself. Listening to recordings helps you absorb the sound and nuances of a style, especially for grooves where there's a feel that's hard to capture through musical notation. Learn a few core grooves in each style, then explore some variations and fills. Over time, this will make you more versatile, more hireable, and give you and your bandmates more creative options when writing original music. Number 6 is sight reading and notation. If you want to be a working drummer, reading music is a very important skill to have. You can absolutely learn songs by ear, but being able to read saves time and opens up more gigging opportunities. Many professional gigs, shows, and theatre work use charts, so it's great to be able to read music. Start with simple resources like Ted Reed's Syncopation or Modern Reading Text in 4/4 by Louis Bellson. Then work your way into reading musical charts. Each style kind of has its own notation tendencies, so learning how to navigate and interpret these is incredibly useful as a drummer. I do think it's important to balance this with learning music by ear, but it's just a great skill to have and it's good to be able to do both. The final area is improvisation. Improvisation ties everything together. Without it, it's easy to get stuck playing the same patterns and the same ideas over and over. If you want to move into more improvised styles like jazz, you need to be able to solo over a form, over a vamp, or play freely. You also want to be able to create fills on the spot rather than relying on the same ideas to use every single time. You can work on this by adding limitations, such as using rests, changing orchestration around the kit, exploring different subdivisions, or shortening or lengthening ideas. Transcribing solos from drummers you admire is also incredibly helpful, as it shows you how ideas can be connected together and developed throughout a solo. So there are 7 key areas I'd recommend focusing on this year to take your drumming to the next level. If you're looking for some one-on-one guidance, I offer online coaching, so if you're interested in that, then hit the link in the description and I'll be in touch. And if you want to get started with the first area, timing, then check out this video for some exercises to get started on that.